fucking love
Next
you,
to the
Jordan.
fire. I love sun rays like a satellite.
Hey, my darling, how are you?
Hi, everybody. I don't know if people can hear me. Wow.
Just I'm going to turn the music down, and I'm actually going to switch the music so that they can hear us.
Yes.
Okay, that should be better. Wonderful. Yes, there we are. Okay, we're good. How was your day today, darling?
It was a good day. Can't complain. It was pretty peaceful. I enjoyed the weather. It wasn't too cold up here in New York. So any day where you could just be in the sun and appreciate the elements is truly a blessing.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Same to my day was pretty productive. I was able to get some work done and then also help my cousin do some stuff today. So it was a pretty productive day. I was looking forward to tonight. So I'm very happy. As you guys can tell, I'm in a really relaxed, calm. I didn't had dinner already, so I feel good. And I was actually just chopping it up with Marco and Bob Curtis about our topic tonight, and we were actually just flowing, and it got me really pumped and excited for tonight. And I was actually just jotting down some random notes and free thoughts as they were coming. So I look forward to tonight, and I want to say welcome to everybody. I see that we have viewers on Instagram. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I thank you guys for coming in. I thank you guys that are coming in into Facebook. I'm actually going to go ahead and take this few moments and share the live and send it out and tag some people in the intro. However, I feel good. It's been a good day. It's been a good day. I'm
That's a
excited to get
blessing.
into the topic tonight. Let me see. I'm going on the Facebook so that I can do the tagging and all that good stuff and make sure that we're oh, I don't need to do it from the laptop actually. Let me do it from my phone and get it done quicker. And I don't want to
I
mess
hope
with
that everyone is having a great day. I hope
that.
everyone has been feeling their utmost best. I hope that we are embracing the season of change that was within the midst. And even if you're not feeling your best, I just want to send you some love today. Having love within your life, like I found myself reflecting this week about being blessed with great people in my life, great friendships, great partnerships, great relationships. And a lot of times when we think about our relationships, we solely think about our romantic relationships, that we forget that a lot of people aren't blessed with genuine people in their lives. So when I was taking that moment of reflection, it really hit me like, wow, I'm truly blessed. And sometimes it takes a moment of reflection to realize the blessings that you do have in your life. So that before we get into today's topic, I just want to just tell everybody, just take a second a day, a minute a day, and find something to be grateful for. Find something to say, you know what, Master God, I just thank you for this small, big, in between blessing that you have
Yes,
given me.
yes.
A few years back, my church anniversary theme was the attitude of gratitude. And I
Mm-hmm.
find when you implement that mentality within your life, life gets a little brighter, it gets a little better, hopes becomes more, and it makes it easy as we continue to have these conversations about mental health to pull ourselves out of those dark places that we may find ourselves in at times, because we start to realize that things are not that bleak, when you take stock of all the great things that you have in your life. So I just want to, before we begin, just encourage everyone to be thankful. Find something, it doesn't have to be a big thing, and be thankful for it and watch the universe bless you in return.
Ashe. I love that. I love that. And to that being said, I agree, in the midst of everything, I believe this recent moon energy brought in some amazing vibes. Um, from the time it came in, even to the time of it making its transitions, I'm a firm believer that it brought a lot of clarity, at least for me and different people in my inner space, from members of my church to members of my social group, my friend circle, my family circle. It's been bringing a lot of clarity and resolution. People have been able to have some tough conversations, and reach resolves, and resolutions, and also move in a progressive manner. So, to that, I'm so grateful to the universe and receiving a lot of good news. Rain, and you're part of that good news, so that made me very happy. We'll talk about that later. But I just love you, and just going back to keeping our community strong, and having that support. And I'm just grateful. I have so many things to be grateful for, and sometimes we have to pause and look around. And even when our family, when our friends, when our loved ones are receiving blessings, make sure that we're taking time to pause and thank God too. It's not always about us and what we may necessarily be receiving physically or financially, but for the blessings of those around us. Because I believe that God moves in a domino effect, and when the vibrations are high, when the energy is high, when the love and the support is high, it's bound to hit everybody involved. And so that's the space that I've been in, and so I'm very, very grateful, very, very grateful for that. And even that ties into our conversation tonight. And so as you guys are coming in, I want to say again, I welcome you all. And I'm very grateful that you guys are choosing to come in tonight and share with us. Make yourselves comfortable. Hey, Mama Star, good night. Good night, Mama Star. I see
Good night, Mama Star.
Mama Star is in the room with King, Christopher, uh,
Bless, bless.
Taylor. I welcome you guys. Good night. Thank you guys for stopping in. Shout out, say hello, engage with us. Please, tonight, as always, share your thoughts, share your questions, share your opinions, share your experiences. We are very much so open to all of that. We are not restrictive to any of it. Because we gain, we're not just here to pour, but we're also here to receive and share and vibe and build with all of you guys. You guys are our family. And so I'm very grateful. Please share the live. Send the links to people. Invite them. It is also available on YouTube. So I'll actually post a YouTube link as well. So for those of you that have friends that may not be on Facebook but would still like to participate and receive this good food, I will go ahead and share the YouTube link for you guys as well. But in the meantime, make yourselves comfortable, get your libations, get your herbs, get your water, get your tea, get whatever you need. You understand? And ride this ride with us tonight. We're flowing with a purpose, with a mission that I believe everyone could benefit from, and everyone at some area in their life, no matter what stage you are in, vet, baby, middle range, into it doesn't matter. Any level that you are in, these two attributes that we're going to talk about tonight, um, I believe everyone always has to check in with themselves and see where they fall in on the spectrum and move accordingly. And so, as we get into it, I'm actually getting ready to share the link, but we're going to be talking about um, the war between humility and the ego. Of course, Rain, with her wonderful, wonderful self, um, helped and came up with this topic, period, with the wording and everything. I messed up on the flyer, transparently speaking. I messed up on the flyer, and she called me out, and I was so late with it. But it was time to get it out because I've been on the go. Everyone, there's a YouTube link, but we got it up. But the topic itself is the war between humility and the ego. I'm going to let Rain start tonight as to what motivated her in generating this topic and some attributes about that. And I want to take notes as she's sharing certain things, and I'm going to share some of my thoughts. And we're going to build. And in the midst of it, you guys share your thoughts too. You okay? So again, while she's sharing, I do want you guys to start to answer and respond, engage with us. What is your thoughts or feelings when it comes to humility, when it comes to ego, when it comes between the battle between the two? Are they connected? Are they separated? Is it good? Is it bad? How do you feel when you hear those terms? Share with us. I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say. So, Rain, you have the floor, my darling.
Good night, everybody. So, as you guys may know, I have ADHD. So, the way my brain works and how a topic may come to me is usually scattered thoughts. But I was sitting there and I was thinking about I'm always, reflecting on my faith and my religion and what I believe in. And I was thinking about how much within our faith we preach about this concept of humility. And, a lot of the leaders would speak on humility, but I started asking myself a question. Are they truly humble? Shanique, are you truly humble? Is humility just this abstract concept where I believe in today's society, you kind of have to be a little bit egotistical in order to excel and succeed? So then I came to this point in junction of my thoughts where I was like, it's always going to be this war. There's going to be this internal conflict of how humble am I going to be? Because sometimes if you're too humble, people could take that as a sign of weakness or a sign of lack of knowing of oneself. I often think about just the way society is constructed from social media and the need to appear as something that within itself builds one ego. And then I was also thinking about it, follow me people, follow with my flow. I was thinking about different mental health disorders, which are a direct correlation to one's ego, especially when one is thinking about personality disorders, such as narcissistic personality disorder, BPD. A lot of these things are either an inflated sense of self or a deflated sense of self. So everything that we do within life and when it comes to that understanding of self goes back to that initial balance of or that initial war of the ego and having because I'm a person that believes that you do have to have a healthy amount of ego in order to have a healthy understanding of self. And it's not from a place of pride and hubris, but more so of a place of, I know who I am. You cannot tell me who I am. You cannot tell me my self-worth. You cannot tell me how am I going to operate within this space, time, and hour. And I am going to go into this room and take up a lot of space and be my big, unique self. And then that idea of like, okay, I need to be open to hearing criticism, which comes with a sense of humility. I need to be open to being more visible to people's opinions and thoughts, And I really found myself thinking about what is humility? Is humility making yourself a doormat? Or how are we going to define humility within the modern terms and concept? And I didn't have an answer for that. I can be real. And made me think, Shanique, are you not humble? And I'm like, but I would like to describe myself as humble. I do believe that I'm humble, but as I said, I'm also a walking contradiction where I feel like you need to know who you are. You need to stand firm in that. And that comes from having a healthy amount of ego. So ramble done. That's what brought up this topic and conversation for me.
Okay. I love that. And some of the things you said, actually, I wrote down and I want to get into. So before I start my ramble, because Shanique opened up a wonderful door. The fact of questioning what is humility, what is ego, what is da 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 da, because a lot of us come from these conservative environments where we've been conditioned to see ego in a certain way. We've been conditioned to see pride in a certain way. We've been conditioned to see what humility or understand this elusive thing of what humility is. And so we've all, I believe, gone through a phase of that. So what I wanted to take the initiative to do was, number one, read the definitions of humility and read the definitions of ego. Read the definitions of arrogance. I want to read these so that we can get a official understanding, and then I'll go into my little personal rant. Okay, so here we
You're
go. Miss
breaking up a
Google.
bit.
I'm breaking up.
You're
The
breaking up a
signals
little bit. Yes.
is it like choppy, like sticking?
Yes.
Uh oh.
Now you're back clear.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. Let me see something here. Okay. Just now. Define ego. Okay. So according to Google, and I actually like this. Good night, everybody. According to Google, this is actually very befitting, and I think we're both going to like this very much. According to Google, ego, a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance. Okay, and so staying right there, ego in itself is someone's self-esteem. So a person that has a healthy self-esteem or positive self-esteem typically would have a positive ego or healthy ego. Someone that is negative in their perception or someone that is dark in their perception or not very positive or very low in their energy um, would have a not so positive ego, a negative ego, and that can manifest in an array of things. Go ahead, Rain.
When you read the definition, it made me think about how culturally, as you said earlier, there's have been all these confines when it comes to developing a healthy sense of self. Because you always say you don't want to be too cocky, you don't want to be too boastful, you don't want to be too braggadocious within yourself. I'm using some of the West Indian twang and
Mm-hmm.
lingo, but
Mm-hmm.
there's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
always these limits, and I think there is necessary limits because you don't want to be a person that's prideful as well too. But having a healthy amount of pride within oneself is beneficial. When you walk with
Absolutely.
confidence, when you walk with your head held high, some people be like, "Oh, she's so egotistical." And no, I have a healthy understanding of self, you know and many of us, that took time, place, and effort to develop that. So how do we get to, I would like to hear the definition of humility next, because how do we
Yes.
develop this journey from, okay, I now have this healthy sense of
Ooh,
self,
oh,
to
this is
this
going to be real
opposite
interesting.
this opposite
The
form of,
definition.
I need humility.
Good night, Mumbo. Good night, Mumbo. Good night, Jennifer. Good night, all my people, my family. Well, the mystical people is in the room tonight. Ain't that something? The people that like high conversation. I love all the listen. I don't know what this moon is bringing. I tell you, Nate. Rain, the mystical people is in the comments. You got Mumbo, you got Elder, you got Jennifer, you got listen. The people is coming out. I'm like,
Hello, hello,
okay.
hello.
Hello, beautiful people. And so listen to this. The definition, according to Google, and it's only one, excuse me, one. And the definition of humility: a modest or low view of one's own importance, humbleness.
So this
Mm.
is this is the thing that was in my sense of conversation in my head when I came up with this topic, was we preach humility as the ultimate goal of self-awareness, of self-sacrifice, of spiritual enlightenment, right? But why is it that I must have a low sense of self in order to reach enlightenment? You know? Why can't I be standing firm within who I am and progressing that way?
Ooh, follow me. To your question, I'm gonna come from a higher level of perception with that answer. The only one I need to be humble to, follow me, and some people are not gonna like this. But when it comes to humility and going to the definition, the modest or low view, let me read it again for the people in the back and even for myself too. A modest or low view of one's own importance. I like to believe I'm an important person. You understand? I believe I matter. I believe I'm an important person. Now, that does not mean I am the important person, but I believe I'm an important person. And I think anyone with a level of confidence or level of, responsibility, or a positive walk, and or whether you are in the public's eye or you are the head of your house or whatever, you are an important person. Okay? When we talk about humbleness, I believe I'm to be humble to the spirits that are charge over me, that have charge over me. I believe I'm to be humble to the Almighty Creator and to my elders that have charge over me. You understand? To my elders these are my spiritual parents, my initiatory parents, my, the people that governs my communities, that high-ranking elders that are one, living and setting an example, living by what it means to be and what they're supposed to represent. But when it comes to any and everybody else, I'm sorry. And I believe that's why a lot of people have had problems with me, because I don't lower myself. You understand? And not saying that I'm walking with a level of confidence like I am the shit, but I'm not going to lower myself to make other people feel comfortable. Or I'm not going to lower myself to make myself, like you said, in order to be successful and to grow and to sometimes make shit happen in your life, you have to have a certain level of ego and self-esteem at a certain level that will push you. And even with my friends, Curtis, and with Marco, I had used the analogy of Sasha Fierce and Beyonce. You understand? And Curtis was like, I like that. And here's why. Beyonce she was a country girl from Texas doing the thing, pop girl, whatever, but she was not as who she is today. Then she went through that shift as Sasha Fierce, and she acknowledged Sasha Fierce was an alter ego so that she could allow this part of her that she was not able to explore to come out. And it did. And that catapulted her to be able to be ready and confident. And the Beyonce Mrs. What's her last name? Knowles? You understand? Not Knowles, Carter, Mrs. Carter. She shifted from Beyonce to Sasha Fierce, and now, bitch, I can be Mrs. Carter. You understand? And wear it well. That was some time, and it took the ego for her to grow into that confidence because she wasn't there yet. Go ahead.
I think with the thing with ego, and it was screaming in my head, is that we also have to be aware of truly who you are. Because like I said, as I was thinking about different mental disorders that go along with the line of ego, some people may have inflated egos or experience sense of grandiose, where they believe their importance is more than what it is. And some people may have the opposite end of that spectrum, where they're struggling with their self-worth, and they may be actually of importance. So in order for us to begin to have a balance and walk towards, I don't think humility should be the end goal, but a place of acceptance within your ego. Like, I no longer have to prove myself to you because I am so confident within myself, and my perception of self is so aligned to truly who I am that I never feel the need to prove anything to you. And that to me should be the end goal, instead of this, I'm so lower, I'm so meek and mild that you can just step on me,
Yep, or take advantage or whatever. Yeah.
A lot of people don't even begin to know how to be humble. They think humbleness is just quietness. I have a friend, Prince William, always says, you're not humble, you're just quiet, And that's the thing, because you may have a big opinion or you may have a big voice and a big presence, because I found myself yet again this week thinking about how impactful some of our energies is, that we don't even know it. But when we take our energy or remove our energy from a situation or a room, we see how things begin to shift and change. So I think we must develop a true sense of self. And that's only can happen through experimentation of, like, if you know me, I've had like 50 million different identities throughout the course of my life. So many of us get stuck in the idea that we have to be this one thing, that our ego never gets a chance to grow and explore and develop, where you could really come to that sense of assurance of self.
Rain, you ever thought about the fact of, especially in the environment that we come from, and even because I've really never had that problem until coming into this particular environment, being called those things, arrogant and all those things. I've never been called that really until this season of my life. But now that you're there, now that it moves me. But what I will say is, you ever thought about the fact that being so different or coming into a space where you move naturally different than other people and how they've been conditioned cause people to feel uncomfortable?
I know for a
So
fact
because
that
because they're uncomfortable, it's like they want to. You need to tone it down because you're sticking out like a sore thumb.
I tell people I am a dark skinned, heavy set woman with a big personality that loves to dress sexy. You're not gonna miss me. You're never gonna miss. So I know how it feels to just be existing, being you, and feel the pressure to be smaller within yourself. Especially in very like conservative circles and places where individuality isn't truly celebrated. You just have to just be, you just have to be. And it's a constant fight for people to not dim your light and not dim your uniqueness. And then they will try to use this same concept of humility and humbleness to tell you this is why you should be less, because now you're arrogant or you're egotistical or you're acting like you know it all. No, I'm not. I'm just standing in my
Versus just addressing
confidence.
it, yeah. Versus just addressing the fact of this area. I feel like you're a little bit arrogant in. Addressing the arrogant and telling me to be humble is two different things in my mind. And I think because that level of understanding does not compute to a lot of people, it ruffled a lot of feathers in times past. But we got a better understanding of each other. But look at this. Mumbo says the subject of humbleness carries weight when you understand I is we, meaning we are mere reflections of phases of each other, mirroring each other. I agree with you. I agree with you. And so going back to the statement of the ruffling of feathers, sometimes when a person is either they find issue with you, is because either you're living a life that they wish they could
Wish
live
they
in some
could
shape,
live.
form, capacity, and are restricted or can't for whatever reason. One second, rain is coming back. For whatever reason. And so
Turn
again,
the music down a
going
little bit.
okay, no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
So going back to the element of the perspective of again importance. If a person deemed themselves important enough to live in their truth and to not give a fuck about anybody else's thoughts and opinions, they wouldn't find issue with you. For, period. Because it goes into a self again a reflection of you. I'm going to be happy, girl. Wear your all black and be as witchy and mystical as you want to. Boy, whatever if you want to wear pink today, put on your pink. I'm gonna put on red and black. You understand? I'm tying my head. You understand? Whatever. It's a level of be and do. But another point that was made, Marco made this point of element of humility that is not in the definition, but I do like, and I think it will be interesting to say, is an element of humility is the ability to receive.
I receive that, because when I was thinking about humility, I was thinking about a lot of times, like I said earlier, when somebody offer you criticism. When you're too egotistical, you are not open to hearing constructive criticism because you might be in a space of defensiveness, or you can't even see that there might be need for growth or an area you can do better in. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely receive that definition of humility, being able to be in a place of acceptance. I can hear
Mm-hmm.
what you have to say. I can build on what you have to say. I mean, I have to agree with everything that you say, but I'm humble enough to pick out the areas of truth in what you said,
I should.
and I
I should.
definitely agree with that.
I should. I love that. Um, and I think a lot of times that kind of coincides with the intentions of the need to be humble, humble yourself, because they feel like we're not receiving or you know not receiving something or I don't know, not quite sure.
So for me, I think a lot in our particular community, it's not so much that they think you're not receiving. It's just that I think it's a genuine fear that you may exceed them. Because where they were at that age or that place or that time within their life, you've probably far superseded them. So it's like, that concept, they will tell you, slow down, don't run. But I'm like, I'm not
Take your
even running.
time.
I'm walking. This is walking for me. It may seem like running to you, but it's walking for me. So a lot of times they use this concept of humility to actually
Ooh.
truly humble you, to
So,
make you feel less than.
bingo, bingo, jackpot, bingo, jackpot. What you just said, and to build on that, this whole ego thing, we have been getting it confused with arrogance, with the definition of
Mm-hmm.
arrogance. Not arrogance, but arrogant. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about the definition of arrogant, because remember, humility is the low, or,
You're
the
breaking up
lower.
again.
Okay. Uh oh. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. You can hear me?
Mm-mm.
I'm still breaking up.
Better now.
Okay. So, um, remembering that humility is talking about the low, the perception of the lower vibrational, not really perceiving yourself as important. And then ego is one's confident sense of awareness of one's importance. Arrogant, on the other hand, is having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's
Self.
own
Grandiose.
importance and abilities. You guys
I
hear that?
definitely,
Did
I
y'all understand
definitely,
that? So while a lot of times
I,
we are confusing ego with arrogant, they are not the same. Ego is actually quite positive. Arrogant is a little bit more negative. Humility, I don't view it as so positive. You understand? I feel like you have to know the higher element of humility. Again, the ability to receive, not doing too much, staying within, staying in your lane, operating in your authentic self, you know, but don't decrease yourself to make others feel good. But go ahead, Ray. I thought you.
I definitely want to reiterate this point that Marco brought up about the reception being equal to humility. I feel as long as we can master being able to take, as they love to say, take self out of self and be like,
Mhm.
hey, this was truthful, this was impactful, this is an area I can work and grow at. I feel like, as I keep saying, that should be the end goal, because we all have this mindset that humility is the end goal, and it's not. It's not me making myself feel less than or being less than or staying quiet in a corner because I'm scared to voice my opinion or be who I truly am. That can never be the end goal. The biggest end goal is to have a healthy form of ego, to not be egotistical, not to be in the system of grandiose, not to be arrogant, but to be self aware enough where I operate within
Yes.
a space of truth
Mm-hmm.
and my truth,
Mm-hmm.
and know that there's a divine purpose within being in that truth and being your unique self. As to what,
Ray, you
you
get a
know,
shout out from Jamaica. Our Jamaican audience is shouting. You're like, yes, on Instagram, like active righteous knowledge. Yes.
like La Luna
Mhm.
said, when we understand that we're all just reflections of each other, we have no choice but to be humble. Because I know if I'm judging you, I'm judging myself. I know if,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, if I see, like, I know that a lot of people, they wish they could be their true authentic self. So when they see people operating in that light, operating in that space, it's like holding a mirror up to themselves, like, why couldn't I just have done this? And that's a jarring question to have to answer to yourself, you know? So I feel that
Mm-hmm.
there's like, oh, I'm gonna be Christ-like, and somehow Christ-like has become synonymous with humility. I'm like, Jesus knew who he was. He knew he
And
was that
he
man.
knew he
He
was
knew he
that.
got that sauce. He
Yes, he
knew what
would.
he was doing.
Listen,
He didn't sit and
listen.
operate in a corner when they wanted him to hide and all this kind of stuff.
That's
Jesus
why
was
he
like, "No,
said,
I'm
since y'all don't
Jesus.
want.
I'm the Son
That's
of
why he
God."
said. when y'all don't want me in the synagogue, I'm gonna go out on the highways and byways with the hoes in them and the
You're breaking up
bros.
again. Mhm.
he said
You
he
know?
said while y'all want to restrict me to the synagogue, I'm gonna go outside with the hoes and the bros
Hmm. Because he knew
and
he
teach
had
them
the
some
power to
obia.
shift and change things, you know?
Hmm.
So when we have this whole idea, that's another thing we have to unpack. Being Christ-like doesn't mean the definition of being humble. Because if we truly look at the stories about Jesus, there was a sense of like, no, I know I'm God's son. I know God put me here on a purpose to reach to the man's of the sinner man and bring them unto repentance. Like he had to have that confidence, as you said earlier, when you have a healthy ego, it pushes you to continue going further because you know yourself. You know, whatever obstacle you may come across, you are going to oversee, you're going to overcome it. You're going to be successful at it. You know, as I said, in order to be successful in today's society, you have to have a healthy ego. You have to know what are your strengths. You have to know what's your weaknesses. I know for me, if you told me, Shanique, going to put you in a competition where you had to remember something, girl, I know I lost. But if you put me in a competition where I have to come up with a unique idea and say, like, let's build on this and let's carry on from here, I know I'm going to win. But that's because I know myself, you know?
So true.
I was even having a conversation today that kind of triggered me, but I could have stepped out of self and be like, hey, this is why I was triggered by this particular conversation because I know myself. So when you know yourself, and people will say, well, you're egotistical, you're prideful. I worked very hard to get to this point where I could stand solid in ourselves. And I feel like anybody who truly knows themselves knows how hard it was to get to that point of standing in that authority. So why would I want to be humble about it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to Mama Star's point, she says, so I think all of it is how society thinks you should be and dedicated and dictate to an individuals how to behave according to society norms or societal norms to be accepted. And a part of that is really that's a part of the healing, generational healing, communal healing, spiritual healing, a mental, emotional, all of that. Because you have to rise to a point where, again, when I said last week, getting tired of being sick and tired, where you realize I can no longer live my life and make decisions or box myself in or limit myself or restrict myself or harm myself. You understand? Because I'm trying to fit into society or not make someone else happy, or I'm trying to make someone else feel good, or I'm trying to feel accepted or loved. So I'm sacrificing my comfortability and my happiness, thinking that if I do this, it's going to. No, 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 no. We can't do that anymore. Because the reality is, I'm going to tell you to do one thing: pause and look around. Pause and look around. And Rain started with that earlier. The elders that are saying be humble, the elders that are saying do this and do that, or the community leaders, or the elders in the community, or the social media, or the politicians, or the church elders, or the temple elders, whatever, the audience, the press, you understand, that are telling you to live a certain way and walk a certain way. I'm gonna tell you, like my
They're
friend said,
not
if they're
doing
not
it.
paying your bills, if they are not putting food on your table, if they're not making sure you get from here and there and everywhere, you understand, if they're not signing your check, one, it don't matter. Number two is you have to see how effectively are their words applying to them, and are they living by that? Are they happy? How are their homes? How are their family dynamics? How are they with themselves when you see them moving about and operating and carrying on? You understand these things matter, because I would listen and go according to the person that is representing and authentically happy and peaceful and living right and doing right. You understand, versus somebody that's in church every Sunday and yet got hell and high water going on at home and in the head. That don't make no sense to me. And a
I
lot of times
agree.
we've been conditioned to live like that.
I think a lot of times when people use the concept of humility and they talk about humility, it's to humble you and not in a good way. It's to make you smaller in their eyesight and to make you put yourself within the confines of what, like Mama Star said, is deemed acceptable by them. A lot of the people who preach humility haven't even attained it themselves because it's this abstract concept. Because no one is going
Yes.
to make themselves, unless they suffer from some type of mental imbalance, be less than just to serve you. Everybody, depending on the situation, is going to operate from a place of ego. But I was sitting here and I was hearing that song. He got a big ego,
Mm-hmm.
such a huge ego, and she was attracted to that because you want to know why people are attracted to people who have a healthy sense of self.
Yes.
Because then you know
Yes.
what you're getting when you get into a relationship, a friendship, or whatever with somebody that knows themselves. Nobody wants somebody that shies away in the corner and can't tell you like their needs, their wants, their desires, what makes them happy, what makes them sad, who they are, what they want out of life. And that all could fall into the category of ego. As I said, the war that exists is to not be a egomaniac. Now
Mm-hmm.
don't operate, because I know myself so well, or because I have this inflated self of self, I'm going to be now somebody that diminishes others. That's the
Ashe.
war. The war
Ashe.
isn't to reach to this imaginary concept of, oh my god, I'm just so humble, I'm no, I can't take a compliment, no, I can't. No, tell me I'm great. I know I'm great, but I like to hear that. you know but I need to be also, as Marco says, to continue reiterating Marco's point. We have to be in a place of being able to receive criticism, to be able to receive praise, to be able to receive that negative feedback that we may need to hear at some point of time. We should never be able to be afraid of holding up that mirror. And sometimes that mirror might be you holding it up to yourself, or somebody holding it up for you and saying, "Hey, this is what you need to work
Oriye.
on." You know?
Oriye. Yes,
So
man.
I think
Self reflection is important. That's a key point. Because, like I said in the beginning, every stage that you go on, every time that you climb a ladder in life, because yes, you're gonna hear those statements, oh, you changing, oh, you acting funny, or you acting different. Yes, change is supposed to happen. And yes, if you're growing in yourself and becoming a better version of yourself, you should change and you should
mhm,
act different. At the core remaining the same, but still growing in your behaviors, in your actions, in your character. But there's nothing wrong with standing predominant and confident in who you are, in your knowledge and your abilities and your awareness of self. Don't allow anyone to come into your life and make you question or doubt, because we've experienced that too. Especially Rain and I coming into a new environment with our gifts, with our knowledge, but still going through that. Okay, how do I coexist in this space cohesively, you know, and not lose myself at the end of the day and still be grounded in who I am? You go through that period of question, and this can happen to anybody. It's not just us, any phase in your life. It could be your new work environment, it can be a new
a
friend
romantic
circle, a
relationship,
relationship,
all of that.
all of that. And you start to question, how do I cohesively show up in this space, but still remain myself? And that takes growth, it takes practice, and it takes confidence. You understand? And it takes trial and error too. It takes
I
trial
can
and error.
speak
So you,
from the place
mhm.
of trial and error. I can definitely say a lot of times we may meet people in our life that help either affirm or make us become even more reaffirmed with where we stand. And when I say that, I mean sometimes you'll meet people that have to make you go like, no, I know that I know X by Y by Z, or I know who I am. You can't tell me who I am, because in this world people will try to tell you who you are based on their limited observation of you. And I recently encountered that. So I can definitely speak to that, where I had to be like, boy, you don't know me. And I'm going to show you how I know you don't know me, because I'm going to make X by Y different moves and you're going to be shocked. So sometimes you have to lead people off guard from knowing you too much, too.
Hmm.
Because when people start
You
to
have to
think they
have that
know
I'm
you
the
too
shit
much,
moment. Yeah, you have to
like
have that I'm that shit moment. I'm
you need
I'm
to
not I'm not taking
reaffirm
that. Yeah.
reaffirm within yourself. And sometimes people be like, you're too cocky. Sometimes you have to be cocky to build yourself up, because there's so many things within the world that's meant to tear you down. So when you use that as your shield, as your armor, of like, no, I know the qualities that I bring. I know what I offer to this space and to this room and to these people that are within my life. That's a healthy ego,
Hmm.
you know?
It's not saying I'm better than anybody, but it's that I confidently walk in knowing what I come to the table with. And there's a difference. It's
That's
not
a
saying I'm going
difference.
to come, it's not, and it's saying, and even with that, I'm coming in confidently knowing that whatever space or environment that I'm in, I'm going to come in confidently willing to add to the space. And as we said, receive holistically. Because criticism, you got to always have discernment. Not everybody that criticizes they're coming to bring correction is to bring you down or hurt you. And yes, some people have some fucked up ways of saying some stuff. That is a reality. Not everybody has communication as a strong suit. So search their intentions, search their heart, search the purpose, and like Rain said earlier, see what you can take from it and look at it and apply it. And what can stay there, leave it there. But don't just dismiss it because you don't like the person or you don't like the tone or the energy. Because I've been in that space too. I don't like the
I
person or I don't
can
like the tone. So,
say, and the message
and we got
just
to
flew
grow
right over
past
my
that.
head.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And maturity and wisdom is, although I don't like it, some 23, although I don't like you still may have something good at some point in season and time in my life I can receive from. And even in that time and space back then, we can grow and get past that because that too is also wisdom and confidence. Because it's not saying that because I took wisdom, I'm less than you or you're greater than me. No, 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 no. You told me something. I can learn from it and I'm going to apply it. I'm going to look at it and see how I need to filter that into my life. You understand? Go ahead, Rain.
I could definitely say that right there, that concept, that interaction is the definition of humility. Because you have to open up yourself to be like, okay, I may not like the messenger. I may not even like the message, but it's like, as I keep saying, is there truth? And when you know yourself, you know when there's truth within the message that you're receiving.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said today, I had a conversation. It was a small, short conversation, but it really triggered me. And I had to look within that conversation and say, hey, is there truth in what is being said? Did I determine there was truth? No, there wasn't. But I still had to take that moment and self respect and reflect and say, hey, there could be possible truth. I could just not like the message. I could just not like how the message is being delivered. So now I have to be in a place of humility. And I think that, but in its essence, is humility and say, is there that possibility? You know?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so real. That is so real. I love this vibe tonight. It's just like, hmm. I'm like I feel like we sitting somewhere just cruising. Like this is like one of our own private conversations. You remember that night when we went driving and
Oh
we
my
went
God,
by St.
yes.
Catherine's? Yes, that
I
was a
missed a
night. I
long
feel like
night
this
drive.
is yes, this is the kind of energy I'm getting right now. You know what I mean? And I'm glad you guys are in on it with us. Because again, it's one of those things that the purpose of why Wild Out Wednesday started was again to have thought provoking conversation to help us to, in a unrestricted, unique way, confront certain things that we struggle with and have struggled with and are getting through or have gotten through, but also give you guys some thoughts and some perspectives and some ways to see things differently. Challenge your mind to see things differently because we have all come from different but yet similar experiences. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to these terms, especially as we have been taught to think a certain way. So I'm so glad I read the definitions tonight because I tell you, I know I learned something. And I never took time to look up the definitions because again, we hear things, we hear words, and we take on an idea of what they mean according to the context of how it's presented to us. Again, generationally from our communities, whatever, and we think we know what it means and we apply it from whatever perception they give us. But the reality is, I'm telling you, reading and edifying yourself is key. Take some time and research. Yes, even the words you think you know. Research them. Go ahead,
You
Ray.
know, I just wanted to talk about how everything is always in such divine alignment. every time before we have the show, I always pray. I say a short little prayer. And tonight, my prayer was that, that it would be cathartic for me. Like, because this show for me, outside of helping others, has truly been about developing myself. Because if you know me before, I would never do something like this. I would never be on the internet showing my face, talking to people. This is far outside of my comfort zone, but as I
Mm-hmm.
say, it's been helpful. And I truly pray that the conversations that we are having, even if it's just one person, it makes a true everlasting impact. It could be like, I remember when Ra and Rain was having that conversation,
Yes,
and it really
yes.
made me think, and it really made put me in a place where I had to be like, you know what? It's time to do self-reflecting. Cause I think because we're
Mm-hmm.
most of us as spiritualists, we're on this ever-growing healing journey. We feel that everybody do this, that everybody takes time to self-reflect, that everybody takes time to say, well, I want to grow, I want to change. You'll be surprised. We're in the minority. Most people are comfortable where they are. Most people are happy with themselves, and that they shouldn't be, because they're stuck and stunted in growth. So I want to
Mm-hmm.
say
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud of all of us that
I
are
should.
tuning in, even those who are not
Yes.
tuning in, but that are truly committed to saying, I'm on
Mm-hmm.
this journey to better myself. I'm on this journey to healing, especially when you're the one chosen to break generational curses.
Yes.
Baby, it's not for the weak.
No, it's
It's
not.
not for the faint of
No,
heart.
it's not.
So
It is
if
a
you're on
process.
this journey saying, I'm not going to be like my great great grandpapa, I'm not going to keep using the excuse like, oh, this is how my family used to do it. This is all that I know. I'm so incredibly proud of you, because that
Mm-hmm.
within itself is
Mm-hmm.
humility. Because you could go on,
Mm-hmm.
continue operating and saying, well, this is all I know. This is how everybody that I know have done it. This is how we've been doing it for centuries. My great grandmother beat me. My mother beat me. But now we're out
Yes.
here. Look at us as this generation trying to gentle parent, listen to our kids' feelings and emotions, things that are just like foreign concepts to us personally. But as your friend
Yes.
that was on
Yes.
here said the other day, we know how it felt to grow up in these limited circumstances where we couldn't voice our opinion, where we couldn't acknowledge that this bothered us. So we're doing better. So I just want to say I'm so proud. I'm just so proud.
Yes. I love you guys. Tonight was awesome. We got on here like with fire and smooth energy, and it was so smooth. And
Yeah.
look at the timing. We're getting better at this, y'all. We're getting better. We're getting better. And so I thank you guys for your continuous patience with us. Rain said everything that needed to be said. Icing on the cake. I feel good about tonight, and I can
Me
tell you
too.
guys feel good too. I feel good energy from tonight. And I just pray again, you guys continue to receive. Go back and listen to what you did, what you missed. Go back and listen again because you may receive some more. Even I go back and listen to the episodes again, not for criticism, but just to hear what I can receive. Like, I missed that, and that's good, And so take that time and share to with people that you believe um, can receive. Hold up, before we get off, Sergeant said something. I think to be arrogant can be good. Um, Okay. I can't tell you that you're wrong because that's your opinion and that's how you feel. I will read the definition again and then I'll let you think on that. I'll read the definition of ego again and let you think on that. And I'll read the definition of humility again. Um, yeah, that's what I'll do. So arrogant, because it's right here. Having or revealing an exaggerated sense. Exaggerated. Exaggerated means that kind of goes into false perception, a false sense of self. You understand? That's not all the way true. So remember that. Having or revealing an exaggerated sense of one's own importance or abilities. Now that's arrogant. Arrogance is the quality of being arrogant. So arrogance is the quality of being arrogant, meaning having an exaggerated sense of self. Exaggerated means not all the way true, a little something added. And so humility, a modest or low view of one's own perception. Okay, that's humility or humbleness. Then ego. Ego is a person's sense of self esteem or importance. Ego is a person's sense of self esteem or importance. So, you know, she said it keeps naysayers off your ass. Um, Not really, because if you think about this, naysayers are there to say that you're not or you can't, or they try to disprove you. If you're coming with something exaggerated and something not all the way true, then
They're
you
gonna
give
prove
them
that.
something to disprove. You understand? You give them something to say this person was not completely honest or forthright about. That's exaggerated. You understand? But when you have an ego, I think ego is good to have, and healthy ego is good to have because you have a strong sense of self. Now, humility, I have a big question mark, or I'm like ego with a slash through it. You understand?
I think it's how it's
Humility,
defined.
it's how it's defined. I like humility from Marco's definition is the ability to receive, without defense
I
or
agree.
dismissiveness. But when we talk about humility according to the definition that Google presented, it says, um, let me go back, a modest or low view of oneself. Now, modesty is okay, but it depends on how modest and how meek you are. Low, I disagree with. I don't think I struggle with people that have a low sense of self. But when we talk about naysayers, if I have an ego and I'm coming with truth and I know myself and I'm confident about who I am and how I show up, the naysayers are, but you got to remember this. Let me also give you this too, Mama Star. And it's not just you, but everybody. This is for everybody. No matter who you are, but more so for those that consider yourself spiritual or chosen or divine or special or whatever, right? You know, you're gonna have enemies. Even even a homeless person out on the street got somebody that's jealous of them from around the corner. So jealousy and envy are one of those things that no matter who and what we are and how pure we may be, we will always have them. You understand? And to have them doesn't make or break you. That's just it's going to exist. But again, going back to what Rain mentioned, have nothing to prove. You got to remember that we have nothing to prove to nobody. When you know yourself, you have nothing to prove to nobody. You just show up and be who you are. You just show up and walk in the room, and you don't have to lower yourself because you're ashamed or you're afraid or you're fearful. You understand you don't, or you have social anxiety. You don't have to do too much to overcompensate because you want people to like you. You just show up and be authentically who you are. You understand? And um, good night, Bishop. I'm glad you joined us tonight. Welcome into the room, Bishop
Night
Davenport.
night.
From Chicago. And that is the beautiful thing because again, some terms, some words our ancestors and our elders were taught because they didn't all of them didn't have Webster's. And some of them had Webster's but could not read. You understand? And English was not their first language, and the comprehension levels in the English language was not so very high. Go ahead, Rain.
I feel like I kind of get what Mama Star is trying to say, even if I may or
Go
may not
ahead.
agree with it. A lot of
Go
people
ahead.
use arrogance as a defense mechanism to project what to keep themselves safe. If I act like I believe all these great things about me, then nobody's gonna question me. No one's gonna step to me. And sometimes that works. We always talk about the Lulu is the Salulu. That's basically what that is, a false sense of self. And sometimes you fake it so much that you've become a master at the fakery,
At the
you
fakery.
know? So you've perfected that, and it keeps those who may want to inquire a little further, maybe it can keep them at arm's length. But I do
That's
think the
real.
best
That's real.
form of it the best form of it is to have a
Mm-hmm.
healthy ego. So whatever standpoint you're starting from, if you come test me, how they like to say it in our faith, if you come test me, I can hit the challenge, because this is truly who I am. Because in life, people are always going
Mm-hmm.
to test you to see if you
Yes. Let me
are
go down
who
and
you
walk the
say
road.
you are, you know? So you
Yes.
have to know,
Mama Star's
if I'm
agreeing.
gonna
Yes.
if you know that I can't truly back up this talk, then don't talk the talk. But if you know you can, then you can talk all the talk you want to talk. Like Beyonce could say well she want to say, because she really is Beyonce. She's now a definition by itself. Her name means greatness,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
synonymous with greatness.
Mm-hmm.
So not that
Mm-hmm.
her actual name means greatness, but it's synonymous with greatness.
Mm-hmm. The energy
So
that it
if you
invokes.
truly
Yes.
know to truly know who you are and stand within that authority would probably be still the best defense to keep the naysayers at bay, because you can't tell me nothing because you're not telling me the truth. Now, as you said, with this
Mm-hmm.
concept of humility,
Mama Star says, "Say it, Ray."
it's an
Yes,
illusion.
that's her daughter.
It's an illusionary concept. I'm never going to make you feel better than me just because you want me to be humble. I don't even begin to know how to do that. Like, I'm just so weird and so different that I wouldn't even begin to know where to start. And that
Yes,
may
yes,
offend some
yes.
people, but that's the great thing about having a healthy ego. Like, I still struggle with low self-esteem and all that other type of stuff, but I've just gotten to know, like, this is Shanique so much that you can't test me on what I already know. You got to be able to pass the quiz that is you.
Let me tell you something, y'all. This is a vulnerable moment. Okay. Um, I am very confident when I get into the operation or in the manifestation of spirit, or I'm in the work of doing the work. But when it's like, as it starts happening, or as I'm getting to it, it's questions and doubts, and even sometimes the preparation of the days before I know something is coming, because I start to feel the vibration, I start to go in and out of manifestation. Like, I be going through it, and so my friends know something I always ask, or I always say after they give me the confirmation is, "Okay, I'm not crazy," because y'all don't know those private moments and what I be going through. You understand? And even Mumbo and I have had those moments and talked about it. Like, it's not a level of arrogance that I'm asking, like, what happened? Or if I go into manifestation, I come out. Even Rain know we did an experiment and I wanted to know details like boom, boom, boom. Not because I want to know for personal reasons or arrogance. I like to know, one, as a medium and as a vessel, what happened, how it happened. So one, I can work on that relationship and strengthen myself, but also I want to know I'm not crazy or it's not coming with some bullshit, because you have a lot of people that are in certain things like what we're in and they fake or they not coming genuinely. So that's another thing. And so I'm learned to grow and accept this is who I am. Even Mama Star, she's always encouraged me, Rasta, you don't even know. You don't know who you are. And the intelligence tell me all the time, you're still growing and accepting and learning who you are. And I'm learning, and that's the truth. And for a minute, again, the arrogance in me, when Bones first said it, telling me you don't know who you are. And I said, sir, and watch my face, sir. And if you hear what's going on in my head, and he said, and then he come to me and said, you're still growing into the fullness of who you are, Ra. And came with the full. I said, oh, Jesus. Okay. I understand what's going on here. And the reality of that is there's still things that I'm and things about myself that I'm discovering and learning. But I had to also just say, hey, I'm this mystical, ancient, weird, supernatural, out of this world being. And I have to accept these qualities about myself and not run from it. And the more that I embrace it, the more stronger it becomes. You understand? And that's where I am, and it's an everyday process. Like Rain said, every day you learn it, every day you grow, and every day you process it, and every day you got to do a little bit
and
more. You got to do a little bit
and
more. You got to do a little bit more, and it is a lot of self encouragement, a lot of encouraging yourself. I listen to that song all the time. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself and pick yourself up and remind yourself that you are who you are. You are who God made you to be. You understand, and It is something that you have to evolve into and walk in it with confidence and self assurance and faith
And
and
And that's the
openness.
whole point of developing a healthy ego. So, in those moments that we all struggle with, everyone has their highs and lows and things that they feel most confident in and things that they don't feel as confident in. But when you have that healthy ego, when you have that healthy perception of self, that's like your backbone, that's like your foundation. So, you say, yes, I may not be good at this, I may not be great at that. But I know at the core, I'm still an amazing, divinely
Yes,
guided,
yes,
beautiful soul, and this is my strengths, and healthy ego doesn't mean perfection, because that's unhealthy ego, that's arrogance, that's grandiose, that's
yes,
perfectionism,
yes,
you know so healthy
yes.
ego is understanding I am great, but I'm not perfect. I am
Ashe.
great, but I am still
Aibobo.
growing. I am great, but there's still things about myself that I can work on and change. The process of healing, the process of growth, the process of developing a healthy ego is an ever going whole lifetime progress, because you're always going to be at different stages and places of your life where you're going to have to go and do that self reflection. Self reflection never, ever ends. That's why they show
Mm.
Ocean constantly with the mirror, and people think it's for vanity reasons that she's just sitting there looking at herself thinking, oh, I'm beautiful. No, she's really having these conversations because she's the
Yes,
definition of self
yes.
love. So, in order to
Hmm.
have self love, you need to continually have these conversations with self, you know? So, sometimes we may need somebody to hold that mirror up for us, or we hold that mirror up for ourselves. But this is the
Hmm.
constant war between humility, the reception, the ability to take self out of self, that's humility, and this war of like pride and avarice and hubris.
Hmm.
So it's a
Hmm.
it's a war that you're gonna always continually fight, because you're
Oh,
always threading that scale of balance.
thank you. You just reminded me. My Uncle Joseph just got online. Good night, Uncle Joseph. This is my actual grandfather's baby brother. Um, and so I'm happy my great uncle got online. But you just
Hello,
triggered my
hello.
reminder to read the definition of pride. Okay? Because we did not talk about that, and that is something that we should tap into before we end tonight, because that is the icing on the cake. Pride, there's two definitions to pride. I'm going to read both. Number one, a feeling of deep pleasure or satisfaction derived from one's own achievement, the achievements of those with whom one is closely associated, or from qualities or passions that are widely admired. Number two, consciousness of one's own dignity. Listen, pride is not a bad definition at all.
Right? As I said, I think it's, and Mama Star said, it's truly about how we frame this as a societal concept, that pride means that you're arrogant, because now it's two different definitions, but it has become synonymous, just like Beyonce being synonymous with success. You know,
Hmm.
People say things like, oh, we're on Beyonce's internet. That's how synonymous with success she has become. So, because we use words interchangeably, it's developed a negative connotation. But
Condensation.
by
Hmm.
definition, there's nothing wrong with being prideful. If I worked hard at something, I should be proud of it.
Ashe.
You know?
Hello. If you worked hard for it, and if you are happy for those around you and what they've accomplished, and you are proud of them, be prideful, baby. You understand it is not nothing ashamed of to be proud for what you represent and what you have and what you are striving for. We've had misconceptions of these things for so long. I thank God for the light. I thank God for knowledge and wisdom, because knowledge is power. And the more that the more that you are held accountable to do better. And when you know better, you do better. And so that's the whole purpose. That's what we pray for. That's what we want. Just progression in all of our lives. And again, I thank you guys, because the time has been well spent. It has made an hour and 10 minutes. So we've been discussing for an hour and nine. And I'm very grateful for you all again. Share the live. Come back. Come back. Come back. Listen again. Review. Send your donations, send your love offerings, share the lives, because the more that you share the people, that's more beneficial than anything. The more views, we'd be excited about views and people's response and the benefit that it is bringing to people's lives, the growth that it is bringing to people's lives. That's the best reward we can ever receive. And so the only thing that we ask of you guys is to share the live. I posted the YouTube link. If you need other information, just inbox me and I will share it with you so that you can provide it to those that you love so they can also benefit from it. But again, I thank you all for sharing your time with us. I love you all. I pray that the universe continue to watch over us, provide us with sweet rest, that we dream sweet dreams, that we wake up with wonderful clarity and restored, that as we are growing on this journey, that we continue to grow in wisdom and in connection with the source, in connection with ourselves, walking in confidence, walking in self-awareness, walking in our truth, and being proud of who we are. That is my prayer tonight. Ashe Beni Kori, Ashe Beni Kori, Ashe Beni Kori. You all rest well. I love you all and thank you.
Good night, good night, good night, everyone.
I love, I love, I love, I love. Sun rays like a satellite. Energies bring me back to life. Catch me chilling with the halo. Universal flow, I belong here. Keep that focus on that starlight. God of my universe, part of my mission, righteous the all might. Raw splitting the sea into that clear sight. Go far intuition, lifting up that soul right. I love, I love, I love, I love. Elevate my love.